And now, yeah. That's what I'm telling you. Like before any audio thing, before any verbal thing, you gotta listen to hip hop. You gotta get the words out. Oh, yes. The earth is the Lord's and all that in thee. That's Psalms 24. And what's the business? I be reading Bibles for my cycles. It's a novel, and I gotta be so novel. Coronavirus. SDA raps. Yeah, Saturday morning, and I'm going, yes, to Sabbath school. I just read John 1, and you know I got the Sabbath cool. We about to have lunch and fellowship, and church is gonna last like 11 hours.
11 hours, I would lose my mind. They would say I have superpowers, the way that I fly out after like an hour 15, because I grew up Catholic, so I need to be in that theme right after the scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that I mean, like, get out of there. God already said I mean, you know what I mean? 11 hours.
Ave Maria. You said Catholic.
Catholic way that I saw. I mean, I sat there and looked at them all. I mean, all of the saints up on the wall. I mean, I looked at what they did and had a ball. All the way till they fell. I mean, they fall. I mean, every time that it comes around fall, we looking at Advent or something. All of y'all.
My burden's down, Lord. Burdens down, Lord. Since I laid my burden down.
Yeah, I laid my burdens down today at church, cause I was worried cause my check didn't come in time, I couldn't buy no merch. I was like, damn, that really hurts. I mean, I'm looking at the sky like, how does this work? But then I sang a little song and I forgot the name, but when it said a couple things about how the king reigned, I was like, dang, how could I ever forget? How could I slack? How could I never ever be on my shit? I mean, I'm not 100% the way I need to be, but God don't even care. He look at me how he wanna see me.
Father, into your hands I commend my spirit.
Yes.
Father, into your hands, why have you forsaken me?
Whoa, did I just sin in asking God, how did you forsake me? Cause how did he, if he know everything in sanctity? If I'm just a little bitty ant, a little midget in this earth, then how could I ever complain about the works? Maybe I cannot see what's in the works. Maybe I cannot see how genius works. Maybe I'm too itty bitty to make a move. Maybe I'm just a little bitty fool. But maybe I'm filled with the spirit and got a good side of me that everybody can see and they can hear it. And maybe there's something so deep within these lyrics. And maybe there's something so loud that God can hear it. But maybe it's coming from him, so I'm just a motherfucking amp that you can bust if you want. But when my amp speak, don't work no more. Trust my spirit speaks still, and it's not mine. Cause when I get in line, I'm gonna see the signs and
let it shine till Jesus comes. I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let Satan blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. It's cool, but whatever. But as far as like, but they're also TV. As far as like podcasts online, who's doing that?
Oh, yeah,
Because we're not two musicians with opinions, but it's gonna play like that. We're not two comedians with opinions, but it's gonna play like that. It's gonna play like both. And I was like, that's really powerful because we don't. Bro, and the fact that we can talk through, like, the ability to freestyle is legit, yeah.
Right.
The ability to freestyle is legit because that means that you can actually communicate what you're thinking,
right,
and still entertain the music that is going on around you.
And
it's
you
not,
you have to get in a flow.
Right.
Both of y'all's talent really comes through in that, cause like with the improv, and you got some vocal skills also.
Some
right,
hold it down, hold it, yeah.
You the same way you got some comedy skills, so
right,
like that, you know, and it's like, oh man, this nigga's an actual music. Oh, this nigga's an actual comedian.
Right.
Because comedy takes this is what we were talking about last night. Comedy takes musicality, right? So it's like, so I was saying, like, with my knowledge of comedy and your sense of humor and your natural humor,
right,
and then your knowledge of music and my musicality,
right,
it kind of balances. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't play an instrument, but I understand music. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go up on stage, but bro, so it goes.
Right. Not many people would pick that drum loop anyway. You played the drums on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Right, that's true actually. Yeah, get around copyright like that.
Man,
I mean, like,
that's funny.
This is gonna be a very creative looking one when we're done.
We can actually. Are you still recording on that one? That's the same one. That's my piano. I'm gonna just play some shit that
I think Big Creek uses this. Guess that's what they're there for. Keep the water out. Keep the water out. Walking home in the rain, got water on my eyelash. On my eyelash. I guess that's what it's for. Gotta keep the water out. Water out. But I'm not crying. I'm crying. I'm not crying 'cause my name is Brian. I'm crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying 'cause my name is Brian. Yo. Walking in the hall and my feet are kinda cold. Feet are kinda cold. Got the air conditioning on and my feet are kinda cold. Feet are kinda cold. But I got marble floors, so you know that I'm ballin', ballin'. But I got that auntie furniture in my house, so can I really say I'm ballin'? Black Jaguars, tall mirrors, tile floors, tile bathtubs. It's that auntie shit, and you love that shit. She ain't got no kids, just that auntie shit. What auntie gon' do for a man, 'cause you know she 42. What auntie gon' do for a man, 'cause now she 52. What auntie gon' do, 'cause yeah, she's 62. I guess auntie is screwed, 'cause every auntie dies at 72. The song wasn't so sad, but I'm telling the truth about my aunties and my eyebrows. Oh, you thought I forgot? Walking home in the rain and it's raining on my eyebrows. Walking home in the rain and it's raining on my eyelash. I guess that's what they're there for. Gotta keep the water out. I may do many things, but you'll never see me cry and pout. I'm not crying, I'm not crying, I'm not crying 'cause my name is Brian. I'm not crying, I'm not crying, I'm not crying 'cause my name is Brian. The last time I checked, Brian's can't cry.
Welcome to the podcast, nigga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're not black. Ooh, even if you're not black.
Even if you're not black.
Ooh, even if you're not black.
People of color.
We gon' give you that truth. Even if you're not that. Nigga, that dude. Really wanna hear them facts. But we gon' keep going. We gon' bring that back. We glow, we go to places you don't want.
Ebenezer
I know you
Baptist Church.
feel
Ebenezer
what we
Baptist Church.
said
Church is
is
chicken.
real.
Church
But
is
you don't
chicken.
say.
This is it.
Don't wanna say.
And this is it.
Don't wanna say.
And Bubba Grilled Shrimp. And Bubba Grump
What
Shrimp.
if I say,
This is it.
ooh?
And light skinned girls.
What if I say,
And dark skinned dudes. And light skinned
but
girls.
what if I say,
With light skinned dudes. And light skinned girls.
can't even say.
I ain't never really seen that. Do light skinned people not like each other?
I can't even say.
I know dark skinned people do.
I can't say.
And if a light and a black get together, then you know that's the black one's fault.
I won't say.
Cause light skins feel too light skinned for their own light skin.
Guess what? Just some little stuff that I wanna say, but they can't say. I wanna say, did it show okay?
It's okay.
To be okay.
It's okay.
Check this. Even if you like Trump.
Even if you're lactose.
No, I said, even if you like Trump.
I said I drink lactate.
Cause guess what? Guess what? Even if you like Joe. Ooh.
Even if I like coffee.
Even if you like Joe.
I like Joe's Garavito in the morning on
Guess what?
Fox
Guess what?
News.
Even if you like Bernie.
Let it burn, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn,
Even
let
if
it
you
burn.
like Dan Crenshaw. Oh,
Dan Crenshaw's not from
I said I
Crenshaw.
can't say.
A-O-C-E.
Oh, I won't say. Guess what? Guess what? Even if you like Snickers.
But don't be a nigga.
Ooh. Guess what? Cause if you're white and you like niggas,
Then you gotta get the white chocolate, that cookies and cream.
and if you're white and you don't feel like you hate nobody, please don't say that you won't say that it's okay.
It's okay. This Glock ain't got no safety. The owner got no patience. So please don't make my finger and this trigger make relations.
Bro, we won't get banned for at least 6 months.
That's what's up. All right, so welcome to the It's Okay podcast.
Welcome.
We've touched ground. I don't know if you know this, but pilots fly at 30,000 feet so that
Are we recording?
they have more room to correct in case they hit the ground. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And
And welcome to the podcast. That was the musical selections of the Blacksby Brothers.
Blacksby's.
Kevin and Brian. Jabri was also back there.
He was a Blacksby.
He was doing it.
Always black.
You know what's interesting? How long was that? 8 minutes? And that's the entire intro. I think that's the entire intro from start
Every episode there's
to
8
finish.
minutes. Of
You have to watch 8 minutes of us singing
Even if you like toast.
all sorts of random stuff. But that's dope, man. I
like
think that's interesting. That's an interesting way because that's an interesting way to. I'm just excited because I haven't jammed like that in a minute. I haven't jammed.
That was dope, actually.
I'm gonna address a real elephant in the room, bro. When I said even if you like Trump, I felt the energy.
And I said, even if you... I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
I said even if you like.
And it sounded like you... Yeah. And I was
Right.
like, even if you lactose... You're right. Right.
Right. That's interesting because I think that shows a real thing that was a part of us wanting to do this podcast, but that hasn't made it really into the podcast, which is the fact that we differ on a lot of stuff.
This is true. I should be like, no, we don't. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
just to cause the controversy.
We differ on a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, I don't know. Like, who do you like? Like, you probably like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right?
He's tolerable. I thought you were gonna say Nora Jones, and I was like,
Oh.
yeah.
No,
but that's
'cause I
not the way
like
you're
Nora
going.
Jones, 'cause
Yeah,
we're very
musical,
similar,
obviously.
bro.
Okay, so I see what you're saying.
Clearly, this podcast has shown that we're similar enough to have these conversations. But I think something that's interesting is that we have various differences.
Do you mean like, could you use Seth Rogen as an example?
No,
or we
'cause I
both like Seth Rogen.
But
Okay,
what do you
yeah.
like about Seth Rogen?
Well,
'Cause
no,
you might
I
like things about him that I don't like, but I don't know enough. But maybe let's see.
No, well, I'm not particularly fond of anything that he's been doing politically lately. But also, I tend to
Right.
tune out of any political anything lately. So,
Anybody have chapstick?
I have petrolatum jelly in the car. That sounds
Car?
gay.
That's like on the last podcast when you were like, and then you grab the whiskey. So my lips are chapped, so I've got to grab the fireball.
Bro, I have so much sugar in between my lips. It's all good.
Oh man.
That sounds gay too. Whoa. Even if you like those. Sorry.
Oh man. But yeah, it's. I think that what's interesting about it, like we have at the end of the last podcast,
I was about
right,
to say something so
we
offensive.
start talking about how we're both patriots.
Yes.
And I want to title that "A Liberal and a Conservative Discuss the Flag," like, because I think that's like, it's not clickbait, but it is, because people they're like, what, like, and especially if you say a black liberal and conservative and a black conservative.
Especially if you title it, it's just like black conservative owns black liberal. People like,
Right.
they can't hear, like,
kills
yeah.
black conservative.
He's like,
It's just
oh,
like, whoa.
no, it's going in.
And
Twice with both.
Right.
But that's an interesting thing, because I think, and I hope we can not be goofy enough to actually find some differences that we can kind of touch on, so that we can also touch on how, in spite of these differences or despite them, we round off to do a podcast
Right.
where we typically we have different angles, but it seems as though we talk about different things like this. Like I don't know if people can see that angle, but if I say a thing and then I bounce it to you and then you say a thing, rather than like actually getting on a topic and then going, do we 100% agree or disagree?
It's true.
What?
Yeah, it's for this. Yeah, that. But we can find one. I'm sure.
Okay, I'll tell you one. You have you're a comedian
Sure. Yeah.
and a writer,
Yes.
and so you have a vast usage of the pathways and the neural pathway in the mind, because you go down these paths to summon up comedy, to summon up perspective, to summon up things to write down.
Yeah.
And some of those doors that you open, especially in like 2012, 13, 14, 15?
Yeah. 14, 15.
14,
Yeah.
15.
Yeah. That was my dark.
I'm
period.
I'm not completely. Back then I would laugh. I'd be like, but I'm laughing because you're my bro, because I don't agree.
Right.
But I don't know if that's good, because I don't want to even.
I think back on times
up
when
to
I
you.
did comedy, and a lot of that makes me cringe as well. So I think I grew up a little bit from where I was
Right.
back then. But I also still have the gear where I understand. Like, so for instance, this is just a funny thought that came to mind.
Right.
I was going to ask you the question: how many months after January 20th before you think Trump is in a boxing match with George Zimmerman? That's funny to me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's offensive. I get it. And it's like
my thing is, who is it offensive to? Trump?
anybody who respects a former president.
Like, I don't know. That's not offensive.
That's
I mean, if you think about Donald Trump, I mean, he was always a reality star. So
Oh, that's true, actually,
That
it is.
post-presidential swag, that I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, George, he would lose because Trump's a pretty big guy. But
Trump is
like,
video, yeah.
here's an interesting thing, because the same thing, Joe Biden versus George Zimmerman. I think Biden would also win.
What?
I think he would win.
Joe Biden, when I watch him
He's
get off
got
the
a mean
stage
streak.
today, when I watch him get off the stage, I'm like, why we worry for that
You
man?
remember what I said in the last episode? I could beat my younger self up, but I'd have to do it quick.
You think Biden would come in and just wallow? He'd
They would have
like,
to, because it would be on the way. If I miss on the way down, I'm done.
I feel like they would have to keep turning his fist around because he's gonna box like
Right.
this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they're gonna have to keep like, sir, you gotta like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what the. I mean, the general consensus I think is he's frail and I'm worried.
Right.
That's how I see him. But
I mean, that's interesting. So okay, let's juxtapose. Let's de-juxtapose, if that makes any sense in this context.
juxtapose, yes.
Let's take the context of the political spectrum
Destructive pose.
and destructapose.
Destructor.
Destructapose. Let's destructapose that down to like the average household,
Mm-hmm.
because now you're in terms of supporters. But I wanna do this because I wanna differentiate between what a supporter is versus what somebody who actually believes in the values that certain things perpetrate that they're about are, right? So supporters, you'll have so in the Democratic Party,
Mm-hmm.
that apparently is made up of liberals, from the liberal spectrum to the far left, like that from the liberal to the far left. That's boom, and then you have on the Republican side, you have from the conservative to the far right side,
Center right to far right,
Right.
center left to far left.
and then you have the center folks.
and you have center, which
Right.
is a
which is more so
a hard to define crowd, but they exist. They exist.
They exist. A true center person, I don't understand.
I feel like there are true center people.
Maybe they just don't care either way.
I almost feel like sometimes I'm a true center person because I've brought up this point before. Like I'm about to go buy a flag for the European Union and fly that outside my house. You know what I'm saying? The EU flag outside my house. I think that's a centrist. That's a centrist. I mean, bro, you fly what you feel comfortable, bro.
Joe.
I respect them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sheesh.
Actually, if you fly EU, you're basically flying the German flag at this point.
Bro.
But no,
but I wouldn't not come to your house though. That's one I want to say. I wouldn't not come to your house because you're flying that shit.
But would you feel a certain way if you walked up to my house and you saw that flying? You'd be like, "Oh, where are you from?" And you're like, "I'm from Amsterdam." And, you know, and if I don't sound like that,
I wouldn't feel that way unless like here's when I feel that way when I drive down through the hood and on every street lamp, everything that goes up like this from the ground has a vote now, vote now, vote now, and I'm driving through the hood, dog. I'm like, let me make sure I'm still like, let me make sure I'm loaded. Vote now, vote now, vote. That's when I'm like, I just feel so kind of, I don't want to see that.
But it's not the people who live there who put that up.
Right.
They canvassed that neighborhood like that.
Right.
Yeah, because that's how they're gonna reach those people.
Like I don't feel like here's the thing. When I drive down the neighborhood, so for instance, I don't agree with the Warnock. So they at first they had the Raphael Warnock and they had the what's his name, the young guy.
John Ossoff and Blackman.
And then they had those two, and then I started seeing with the black man on it.
Right.
I laughed
at that.
His name is Blackman.
When I drove past it the first time, I laughed so hard because I was just like, bro, I don't even have to guess what ticket you're on because you couldn't be on the other one.
Because it wasn't there at first. It wasn't there at first. It was like John Ossoff and then Bruh, and then it was like John Ossoff, Bruh, and Blackman. Oh, really? I'm a vote for Cuz.
I want so bad for the actual science to say that because the vote would have turned out the same. If it said John Ossoff, Bruh, and Blackman, the votes would have been the same. That's so great.
It would have been the same.
It would have been the same.
And it's not Blackman, it's Black Man.
It's Black
Man.
Yeah. Right.
Black Man.
That's why I was like, man, that's so ridiculous. And the only reason I would say I'm more comfortable with how the conservatives. Okay, I feel like I'm not making the distinction I was trying to make.
Senator Bruh from Georgia. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So the because I'm talking Republicans versus conservative, but so the Republicans will do the same shit. I gotta be honest. The Democrats and the Republicans, they'll do the same shit. They'll have the same amount of commercials. Whoever has the most money has the most commercials. So I can't honestly, personally say, man, I really mess with how the right do it because I believe they commercial. Because other people are looking at the left and go, I believe they commercial. Right? So, if anything, like, stop playing all these damn commercials on my shit.
Yeah. But I
don't even want to see that. I wish I could deselect political commercials from my shit.
I'm so glad the season is over, man.
Stop showing me walking dogs. Stop showing me people. Like, what's funny is, what's his name? What is Bruh's name, the young guy?
John Ossoff.
John Ossoff.
Yeah.
They had a commercial with bashing John Ossoff, and there was this one, they caught his face looking like maybe just either it was too hot outside or he was kind of frustrated about something or he was just thinking hard about something. It was just kind of like and they were saying like, John Ossoff is the worst guy. And it was just this face. And I was like, it is just hilarious because I guess they couldn't find him looking any meaner
than that. Yeah.
Like more like maybe he does his dark shit in the dark. Like
it's hard. He's a good looking young guy.
You can find Raphael Warnock looking me just. In the nature of his energy, you can find Kelly Loeffler looking DV. You can find all this shit to be the truth, to be the case, not the truth. Because I think you have that, and that's more so
to build your case.
That's really more so the supporters realm of that distinction I'm trying to make. They believe the commercials.
Right.
They say, I don't just want no Warnock commercials. I want more Loeffler commercials. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like the Democrats are funny to me that they love commercials now because when Bruh was driving up in his truck talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to deport them, round them up in my truck.
Right.
They were hating commercials. Now they just blasting us with commercials.
Yeah.
Get out of here with them. But when it comes to conservative and liberal, I think that is where the distinction. Because I don't consider myself a supporter of Republicans, Democrats, Trump, Biden. I cast a vote. Because I don't cast a vote for them. I cast a vote for me.
For me, yeah.
I cast a vote for don't get that. Look, can we all agree one time on this? Get that shit out of my face that I'm voting for you.
Yeah, because that's never been the case. I'm voting for me. Yeah, I didn't vote. I guess my vote. I mean, I guess that's the parlance is that I voted for you, but I never I
voted for you because you said, yo, I fuck with you, dog. And it's like, all right, because I'm voting for me.
Pick a team sport. I'll say I think the middle team is the Libertarian Party. I mean, that is the.
What are they about? Because I don't know much about them.
From my little bit of knowledge, Libertarians are mostly about small government, leave us alone.
Right.
You know, we vote for your role. It's a little bit of conservative, a little bit of Democrat, but it's neither of those.
Right.
It's
They part of their credo is that they won't join any, which then makes me wonder. So what's the difference between a Libertarian, an Independent, and a Green Party person? Like all three of those parties are.
Is the
third
Green
parties.
Party people that like the Green New Deal and stuff? Is that the Green Party?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we think, but I don't. That's what I think. But
I'm just saying because if that's the Green Party, they're not. They're beyond liberals. The people that like, This is no disrespect. I mean, they just are on that side of the spectrum.
You
they're
actually
not
reached a very interesting point. So, like, if we actually were to canvass America and see what if we had a thorough enough questionnaire to see where people actually fell into 16 different political categories, you would see that people kind of fall in this sort of grid. But America needs this sort of bifurcated politics because it makes it easy to vote for Team A or Team B, and that's much easier to tabulate because we need sweeping regulation that can affect an entire country federally, right? And then instead of having 6 different political parties, we have national issues and we have states issues. That's how we separate it so that you can have nuance. But it doesn't work because when we get down to states, we don't leave it nuanced enough so that you have all those parties again. We just keep it 2-party system to fuel the federal elections that come every 4 years.
Right.
So what happens is that all these smaller parties get absorbed into these larger parties. So if you are a libertarian and you like to hunt, you might find yourself, I guess I'm going to vote Republican this year because they're supporting the NRA and they're not going to take away any of my rights, even though you're not actually. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I feel. Where it's just like because. If it wasn't for Nader, if it wasn't for Bernie Sanders, if it wasn't for Jill Stein, if it wasn't for all these other independents, when you are politically awake and you want to vote for that, you know you're throwing away your vote. Or you'll get blamed in 2016 for taking away votes from the Democrats because how dare you not vote for Hillary? Why didn't you get on the bandwagon?
But see, that's even all still beyond the point of what the shit is supposed to be. I think that's a part of how the corruption has manipulated. And what I mean is, the ability to go any further beyond 2 parties, the need to go beyond 2 parties, even on a state level, like the 2 parties signifies liberal conservative. That's what it should. That's what it's always signified. Like America, the republic, liberal conservative. That breaks off into 2 parties because it's a certain lifestyle. It's not the intricacies of how you feel like doing politics. Boom, 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 boom. Therefore, like because those things that you were saying are manifestations of other like if there are 2 straight paths and then there's like deviancies off of those paths. Like those are nuance is my favorite word. I probably used it 100 times in all of these podcasts, but that's. Like, there's too many nuances for what it should be. That's how you get people not being able to relate to the 2 parties. Right. Because there's so many other elements that these parties, boom, 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 and I want to be here and I want to be here. But the separation, the difference, and why earlier I was like, what is the middle party? Is because, and I don't know if I even made that point, but a liberal versus a conservative, and then there's a spectrum on it, but it's as simple as this. Back in the day, they had the liberal folks who wanted more social programs. They wanted to help the homeless. They wanted to feed the hungry. They wanted to do these things and make those things mandatory. Okay. So the people that want to make sure that we don't run out of money, that we don't overextend into other people's freedoms based on these things we want to do to help people. So they're going to go harsh. They're going to say we want $1 million. Just imagine when the government was saying we want $1 million for food stamps or for government programs. Like when money was like $1 million was a lot. So then they go, okay, well, I would imagine that how it should be is, okay, well, if we have enough money, if you want this $1 million, we also need to implement this so that we can verify who's getting it because we want to make sure we don't, you know what I'm saying, kind of waste the funds because because you got to think liberal. I'm like, just think about like a hippie is liberal. They free love, free liberal.
But actually,
that's the vibe of liberality is that you're not going to withhold. You're more likely to give for charity because you're not so tense on withholding that shit. So a conservative person is more conservative in nature, where they want to conserve their wealth, their energy, their attention, their whatever.
I'll give you this if you do this. And then they go, okay, well, I'll give you that, but we also want to do this. And then we also want to do this. And then we also want to do this. And then this. And then this and this and this and this. And then we build this thing that exists of all the things that we balance each other out with to equal what's best for everyone. Because when we vote as a people, if we're so divided by these nuances that we can't, like, if I'm so far right and you're so far left, how can we be voting for the same shit? We might as well have a separate shit because it's either me or you, because we're too far away. Right? Because we're outside of just, you know what, I like to give to the homeless. Oh, I like to save $100 a month. To, I want to give everybody everything. Oh, I don't want to give nobody nothing. And it's like, shit, really, most people are kind of in between, in the balance of, I might get, like, you might, like, beyond who you might like politically that I disagree with. Let me ask, how much money would you donate to your favorite charity? Like, not have you, but would you, just hypothetically?
I wouldn't, and that's what you might be asking the. You might
okay, what is something that do you consider yourself on the liberal side of the spectrum?
I'm not necessarily. Yes and no, because here's what I was going to say is that liberal and conservative actually, every government it's not liberal and conservative. There's actually an axis that exists before that, and it's more primordial than all of those things, which is this: freedom versus security. That's where liberal conservative comes from. So when you're in a group of humans and we're living on this landmass, we have opinions over whether or not the governing body, do we want them to provide, do we want them to ensure our freedom, or do we want them to ensure our security? For liberals, they want the government to ensure our security.
Right.
As in, if I'm old and I can't work, there's Social Security that makes it so that I have a paycheck. Or if I'm sick, I have free health care so my security is insured more liberal, or my freedoms are insured more conservative, as in the government is small and not going to tell me where I can and can't hunt, or what words I can and can't use. So it's freedom versus security. So that's
a manifestation of the whether or not how you personally live your life at home kind of thing.
It is. And so it is so it's not impossible, but it becomes, so that is where the difficulty of governance starts, is that some people want their king and the king's soldiers to protect us,
right,
and some people want the king and the king's soldiers to leave us alone, right?
But this is also a recent argument in human history and American history, I would imagine, because of just the history of how young America is. It's been dog eat dog for ever up until recently. Like recently in human, like
our 300-year adventure, it was only 300 years old, so it just started. You know what I'm saying? And
so these concepts, I guess I'm not even. If you want to just finish explaining, I'll let you. But then I want to draw it back to like how those are like.
So I'm gonna answer your question where I
they
fall.
Deviate from the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because you brought up something interesting. So like with America, it was like, okay, so we don't want to be under the rule of a king, right? Either way, whether he's ensuring our freedom or he's ensuring our protection or anything like that, we want to self-govern, right? So that's the concept of America, and whether or not that's a break off conservatively or liberally, you can't really say, because it's really just like a extra concept.
That's just like exactly what America is,
right?
That's
it's just like we want to be self-governed,
right?
Democratically self-governed, right? The idea of like rugged individualism, I provide for myself, pull myself up by my own bootstraps, all of those American ideals that came around in the 19th century and at the turn of the century, and then really got kind of stamped into us after the World War I and II. I very much dig, because like I said in previous podcasts, my family is immigrants, so like a lot of my idea of America is propagandized America, that America. So I believe in that, which puts me similar to a lot of conservatives in that my ideal America is kind of pastoral. Like, you have farmland, you farm, cool. You small business, small entrepreneur. I believe in small business. Like we talked about last night, I've been paying for my own health insurance for years. I don't wait for the government to do these things for me. Do I think that the government should provide for those whatever? I don't know, man. How do you feel when you see somebody on the side of the highway? That's how I feel. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I vote.
So what would that be, Jabri? Would that be libertarian? Because I agree 100%. But you like people that I don't like. Or not that I don't like, but that I like the antithesis people of those people.
And here comes the meat, because now you bring up a good point. So why do I still vote for people that you don't vote for? Okay,
right.
So
I think. Oh, go ahead. Andrew.
No, I like your. I don't. Well, if you don't, because I don't know, where that lands.
I think that's even hard to answer, because politics pulls you out of, because those are very like moral core issues of you as an individual, but politics cause you to pull you out of that, because it's like, okay, if you want that, then this is how that translates in the political arena. this is what politicians are pushing for and everything. But I think that
that's what the issue is. What you're saying is what the issue is. The fact that there's some sort of level of there's some sort of level of translation that goes on between the people and government. You know what I mean? And I'm just a guy. I'm just a singer. Ooh.
Just trying to vote right sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Every 2 years, every 6 years, every 4 years.
Yes, here we go.
Just trying to vote.
This is a song I wrote.
War is dangerous.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? There's a disconnect between the people and the government. Nigga, there shouldn't be no translation. I shouldn't be translating.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, bro,
I feel you.
This is what the Libertarian Party is about. As libertarians, we seek a world of liberty, a world in which all individuals are sovereign over their own lives and are not forced to sacrifice their values for the benefit of others. That's like the first sentence.
Right.
I don't want to get too far in because I'm not trying to advocate for the Libertarian
Right,
Party.
right.
But
somewhere in there, here's I think the most famously claimed libertarian would be Joe Rogan, and even though I agree with him on a lot of things, I think I'm on a softer side of that same independent. So whatever the independent party stands for, maybe that's where I am. This would be a great time to expose the fact that I am one of those Democrats that Democrats don't like. Because when 2016 came around, Jill Stein. I'm serious because I would have, but I would have for the same reason I voted for Ossoff though. I believe in young blood and government.
But
and for every Tulsi Gabbard, there's going to be an Ossoff to offset her and an AOC to offset him and a whatever her bald name is to offset, So but I can't answer your question, and my answer now I realize is actually more cynical.
Right.
Here's a reason why I vote for people different than you vote for people. Because I feel like I'm aware of the game that both sides play, and I'm aware of the fact that both of them have lies and truths. Democrats tell lies like we're going to improve life for everyone and create this utopia, right? And the truth is they have a military-industrial complex in their pocket, and they got mad, Wall Street in their pocket. They're kind of war hawks, and their domestic policy. But okay, so they're kind of that. They have all that you have to worry about.
Right.
So in the end, what they're doing can't be good, can't be ultimately beneficial because of those influences.
Right.
But because of the way they lie, 600,000 people might get health insurance this year who wouldn't have got it. And I personally think that life is dark and cynical enough that if I can help those 600,000 people this year by voting this way, even though the game is rigged, help them, man, because the whole thing is rigged. Versus me voting for the party where I'm just like, he's gonna say he's lowering taxes, but he's not talking about those people who are really suffering.
Right.
And either way, the person who's making $800,000 a year is going to live 85 years. And the person who's making $40,000 a year might live 85 years, right? We're both going to die.
Right.
Help him. Don't let him suffer this bad. Because you got it okay. And I also agree with your ability to go get it okay, but I think that's up here.
Okay.
I don't think that's, I think that if you were going to go get it in your life, you have it in you to go get it. I just don't want to see so much suffering. That's all.
I feel you. I feel
so
you 100%. I feel you.
So that's why I vote for Democrats, because I'm just like, even
but
though they're lying,
even still,
they have to own up to some
what
of
I
it.
don't feel you, I guess here's where we differ. Because I agree. And I'm not saying, I am a nonpartisan, which pisses me off because I didn't get to vote in Georgia for my gosh darn sheriff because it was simple, because it was a Democratic thing. And I'm not even like, I'm nonpartisan. Can't vote for it. I'm like, whoa, some Republican stuff I couldn't vote for. I actually did some research. I'm like, damn, Sheriff Rambo, man, he's got a long resume. He's got good work done in the bag, reputable. Everybody messes with Rambo, and his name is Rambo. And he's black. Do I care that he's a Democrat? One, they all are Democrats. I thought they all Democrats, but I get to vote. What do they think? I'm gonna sabotage this shit? I'm gonna just press buttons? You're my sheriff, cuh. Okay, so I'm doing some shit, and you pull up. I'm like, oh, it's Sheriff Rambo. Oh, it's Sheriff Rambo. Go get my Republican sheriff, nigga. I'm not in your district? No, I'm in your district. I hope Rambo won. I don't know. Did he win?
I don't know.
Damn, Sheriff Rambo.
See, because that's another way that I vote is personal politics, which is that I would vote for no more sheriffs. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't vote for no more sheriffs. I would just vote for don't pull me over, which is really
right. Which Rambo wouldn't pull you because he's like a military. He's like gold medal. I'm like, dude, and I can't vote for it, which got me sidetracked. But I'm registered nonpartisan, and so, but that's not a. Okay, maybe
can I
that
ask,
could.
Can
is
I ask
that,
why you registered nonpartisan instead of registering Republican?
Because one, I grew up. My parents were always Democrat. I mean, when I started hearing about voting, it was like, oh, we don't like Bush. You know what I'm saying? So when Kanye West said Bush don't care about black people, we was like, I was a kid. I was like, dang, Bush don't care about black people. I'm just a kid. Like, what does that even mean? And then Obama, we was running up and down the street. I cried. Yes, we can. You know what I'm saying?
I cried too. I'm not gonna lie. That was a different year. 2008 was a different year though.
I cried.
That was history.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But for me, if I started off being like, okay, well, I used to be liberal because I used to not liberal politically. I used to be liberal, literally, I would just have money, I'd spend it. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily spending it on what I'm supposed to. You know what I'm saying? I would do this, and that. I would be very I wouldn't care about my energy. I wouldn't preserve my consciousness or my energy or my spirit. I was just out there living, and I was angry, so I was just steeped in it. You know what I mean? Very liberal, literally, with my energy, with my love, I was just giving everything away, and not always in a good way. You know what I mean? No, I mean that's not good to me. For me, energy don't pour into me like that.
For me to just be giving it out like that.
Be constantly giving it out willy nilly, nothing. So then I started, I forgave my parents, which got rid of the anger, which let me kind of see life for what it actually was. Like I saw the shit. Like I would read, like back in the day, I would be like watching Tony Robbins for hours, just Tony Robbins and what else? Like all the improve your life. Right, I'm like watching him transform people's lives because they're being so real with each other. So now I developed this thing. I got to be real. So then because I was angry, I would be real, but I'd be angry. I'd be like, I know what I'm saying is a fact because I've diagnosed it. I watch so much Tony Robbins.
Yo, but there was an age though, right? And I'm not trying to detract, but like, excuse me, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee,
right?
Not the one dude. I never liked him. And it turned out he was a fraud anyway. Ty Lopez, whatever his name.
Oh yeah, I didn't really like him like that.
But like Tony Robbins and Gary Vee, there was and Eric Thomas and all those.
Right.
There was an age where they had a power over me that I needed. Oh man, that may be a deeper discussion about our generation in 5 minutes. So let me, you go, you finish. Yeah.
I would just to tap on what you just said. I used to say I needed it, but none of that stuff actually solved it.
It didn't.
It didn't get rid of it because it was just coping mechanisms, right? So forgiveness, lack of anger. Now I've got perspective because I'm not seeing everything mad as hell at this or that. You know what I mean? And just to be specific, my dad and my mom, and even at my girl, and my girl's mom, and my sister. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Got to see. Oh wow, I'm just angry at everybody. I gotta forgive. I was wrong about all this. Now I'm starting to see. So now I'm looking at my life and I'm going, damn. I've not been responsible. And this all happened after my twins were born, after my sons were born. So I was not, this is like, dang, I got kids now, and then God drew me into that. It was like, you got to get right. So I'm like, dang, I can see now I'm not responsible, and I got kids, I got responsibilities. So now I can't be as liberal with my cash. I can't be as liberal with my energy. I can't be as liberal. I've got to be a little more conservative. I can't be in the stool. I can't be like in the for 9 hours straight. Not sell. Now, if I was selling it and making a profit to take care of my family, no, I'm just in that thing. I never released these songs to this day. All right, can't do that. I got to be a little more conservative with that. So that conservatism. Then I started looking at politics and going.
But that was little L liberalism and little C conservatism, which
led
you to big C conservatism.
But that's the root, because even political conservatism, I think, is too blanket statement.
Right.
Because a staunch conservative might say, down with food stamps and down with food because we go to the budget.
But then
maybe when we don't have a deficit, that's what they might say. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if what you say. That was an underhand in here. You slid that in.
Then spend $130 million on a porn star.
I don't know. I can't say I know that. But what I'm saying, unless that's specific to something that I'm not catching,
it's fine.
But,
I'm just saying, like, no, but some staunch conservatives can be very conservative
Right.
with their wealth, but then the way that they spend it sometimes is not as conservative. That was
Right.
the point I was trying to make. I was being snide.
Right. So, but that's because they're based in the illusion. They are living the illusion that they are conservative.
Right.
Their true nature is that they spending $100 million on a strip.
There was no spiritual transformation
right.
from liberal to
They're like,
yeah.
I'm a staunch conservative. Oh, $100 million on a strip. You're very liberal with your shit. You just put on airs of conservatism.
Right.
I think the conservative and the liberal air also, because there are people.
Which is why I could not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Bro.
Because you put on the airs of liberalism, but you are very, 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 very conservative. I'm sorry.
But she also these people. Okay, so there's level of corruption they all dealing.
True.
But they all can deal in this corruption, and a lot of it's legal corruption. A lot of it is like like I'm looking at this shit going on right now. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I've never studied this shit, so I can't say for a fact that I can believe any of these motherfuckers about shit. Because how can I, with all honesty, say that I know enough about this shit to agree with you about whether or not there's enough shit for Trump to pull through? Or whether or not Trump lost and there was no this and that. How do I know? I don't.
You don't.
I think we're at a place where we've got to stem it back. How do you live your life? Stop being concerned like most black people. They say, the stereotype that black Republicans say is black people are they're conservative and they just be saying they liberal. It's the wrong distinction you are making. Because black people are not conservatively, they're not. So you have social.
They're
not. What is it called? Politically conservative.
Right.
Because that comes with a lot of other shit. What you're gonna vote for, what you believe in as far as money and this and finance and this, and not giving to this and not giving to that. That's also the implications, like I said, that got like those nuances that branched off of what it should have been. That's why those two sides stood. That's why even in a republic you had those two sides. Even because the two sides have to vote based on how they live their life. Because a farmer lives his life like this. That's why he votes this way. Because the politician will ensure he can live his life that way. And the reason why they can both exist is because there's so many parts of the world I can go to LA and live my life that way.
But that's what you just touched on something I was just about to say, which is the problem is the way that people tend to live. Because the farmer.
But that's not a problem. That's how big America is.
But that's what I'm saying. But I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. America is that's what I'm trying to get to. Is America is huge.
Right.
You're really getting right to what I'm trying to say. America is huge, but people tend to clump up on this side or on this side. There's enough space in America that if we evenly spread, people's politics could be more individually. But we're evenly
spread as fuck right now. What's not evenly spread is the distribution of the narrative. Which is perpetrated by the media, which is on everybody's TV screen. So everybody feels as though we're too clumped together. Our ideals are clashing at a rate that is unbearable. There will be this, and that.
I mean, physically clumped together.
No,
like
what do you mean? These people in cities want to be in cities.
But that's problematic. This is what I'm saying.
They want to be there.
Well, but that's problematic. They would fare better if we all evened out. If we evened out and spaced out, our politics would become different. Because
I disagree.
You would have more
off nature. I don't have to think about
like so. For instance, like you need welfare programs when there is actually not enough resource to go around, and when you have 6 million people living in a city that actually infrastructure wise and resource wise can only support 1.5, which is like say Atlanta or some other city. Atlanta's actually can probably support about 3.5, whatever. But when you have the other people where it's like, oh, well, I got priced out of my place, or I have whatever happened to me and now I'm homeless. Now they need some sort of extension to help them.
Right.
If we had, because you mentioned the farmer, and I was like, the farmer's a great example. The farmer may in his heart be socially liberal, and I love this person, and I don't have no problem with gays, whatever. But because he lives on his plot, his politics can be his own politics. Because
what do you mean by that? Because I would imagine he'd be conservative because you can't get too much grain to the chickens because you run out of grain before the harvest time.
And he might be, but what I'm saying is like the ability to be conservative is something that is easier when you don't have as many people around.
I disagree because it doesn't. It's the separate people because people want to. That's the thing. People that live in New York, you say, "Oh, fuck Donald Trump," or you say, "Fuck Joe Biden." Nigga, y'all both like walking down the street like this and going, move out of my way.
But
y'all both like hailing the taxi cab and shit.
I guarantee
if you don't like that,
Brooklyn is Democratic and Staten Island is conservative.
No. Check this out. I'm talking about the way they live their life. I'm trying to keep drawing it back to this. Fuck how they think politically. The way they live their life is the same. You're not sitting up in your 1-bedroom apartment talking about, I need some space. I can't handle this. Oh shit.
Well, so
I'm too liberal. No, you're out there like Texie. You know what I'm saying?
And that is
just like the nigga who votes different than you.
So to both,
how is it so different
to both
now?
of y'all's points, I think that the line is, I think that a majority of, like, we the people are most of us, if you spread us even, would find ourselves in the same value systems, and that's how we should be voting, is for our values, not the politics. Not like being conservative with your budget is different than being conservative with your values, or liberal with your budget versus with your values. Like that's one thing, but then you get into things like if a child is, you know, if abortion is at this age or this age, if that's right or wrong or God or not, those are value systems. And I think that a majority of Americans would agree on the same things, because I talk to people who speak the same language, and I can hear you guys speaking the same language, but your perspective of the politics that's representing that and those values are different. And to your point, Brian, I think that the spreading things thin there is some truth in that, because I think that there are people clumped up in the major cities who, us for instance, aren't here by choice, because our values are, we were born here, you know, we're raised here. We might be more comfortable and fit more in our values in a smaller rural town.
Now here's the thing: we're here by choice. I just want to lay on that. We're here by choice.
Right.
Howard's driving trucks across the nation. He's not here by choice.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you meant something else by that. Howard is our homie for niggas that, and he's out there driving trucks. He's been trying to do that stuff forever, and now he's out there winning.
Maybe I can
Okay.
use myself as an example. Like, I grew up on farmland, right? And I live in the city, but my politics are more conservative than a dude I would imagine that grew up here in the city.
But here's why. And this is, I'm not trying to say what you're saying doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say what you're saying exists by the nature of losing the core of what even makes you liberal or conservative, because the liberal and the conservative need each other. The liberal would spend all their money without the conservative. The conservative would lose their heart without the liberal. They need each other. So each one of us have a give or take level of that shit instinctively. Like if we look at our moral compasses inside, we have some liberal shit, some conservative shit, that inner balance. So that's how our votes, like the thing, because what are we voting for if not things that affect how we live our life? Like, come on, giving money to other countries, right? That might have an effect on how I live my life, because now I have an ally in that country. I can go travel to that country. I can come back and I can be safe, knowing that they won't come and get me. Having issues with other countries on like there's so many like that. So I can understand voting on things like that. I can understand voting on whether or not to go to war, because let's say, you know what I mean, like these things, because then people from our, like somebody that I might know might get caught. I might get caught. You know what I mean? These are things that might affect how I live my life. I think that the things we vote for now, the way it was able to get so convoluted is because, one, do you know what you're voting for? All you know is who you're voting for.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're voting for anymore. And so how can we trust anybody? Because nobody knows. So then you say, why do you hate Joe Biden? Man, he can't talk. Oh, you saw that on the news. Why do you hate Trump? He said grab him by the pussy. You saw that on the news. What do you like? What is your? How does that affect how you live your life? And if it affects it in some kind of way, then you come to the stage and you communicate that to other people. And the conversation can never be about me or you, because then we can't live together. And then it's all bad.
But that's what the media has been doing for the past several years. Is making it a team thing.
But here's why it's not just all out, just bloody looking bullshit right now. Because there's something in us that is scared, and then there's something in us that understands that niggas just don't want to get blown up. Like that is a human. Like we made it this far.
And we don't want to. Yeah, we don't
want to
lose it over this. Yeah.
You know,
because it's really not our fight. And I don't mean that like how black people Twitter has been taking it like, oh, these white people going crazy, it's not our fight. I mean, like, as individual Americans, you almost have to let the monster fight itself, because this virtual tension that's between all of us is kind of just a virtual tension. And if we gave it less attention, we would again get back sort of to that utopia where it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, were you just trying to live your life? Oh, I was trying to live my life. Oh, you got kids? I got kids. Oh, okay.
Right.
And
our ability
right
to
now
understand,
it's not,
because it's tied to the media and all that stuff. Instagram, it's all tied to getting we think we need to know what's going on in the world. We think for some reason in 1999, the Game Boy, the Nintendo 64 was not enough. Somehow we need to know more and more and more and more and more about what's going on at all times. So now we
Like,
know what's going on.
I shouldn't necessarily I should be worried about the U.S. relations with China
Right.
as an adult because I read general news, but I should not be worried about U.S. relationships with China the way I am worried about U.S. relationships with
Right.
China. You understand? Because I'm not in the military. I'm not a politician. Why
Here's
is this part of my daily conversation? You see what I'm saying?
Right,
It's not- it's not,
right.
you know what I'm
like
saying,
that's the thing that gets it. It's like they introduce something that they say you got to care about this. And here's the thing I realized is they telling the truth when they say another young black man was murdered in the street. It's not a lie.
That's not a lie.
Their facial expression, those tears, they're not a lie.
It's not a lie.
How could you not? Now, if they're faking, I can't speak to that. If somebody died, I'm not gonna be one that goes, oh, the media's just throwing another. Like each one is a thing. Now the amount they push and the whole perpetrating
That's what
thing.
I was about to say. What is a lie is how
because-
they're gonna play it for the
right.
next 9 days,
Because-
28 times a day.
What you just said, like it did. If it happened in my neighborhood and there was no media, I would be as touched as it. Like when
More-
I was a
more
kid,
so, yeah.
we drove by. There was an ambulance sitting there. My mom got out the car. She came back. She said, I walked through the ambulance and everything, and I grabbed the person and I just rocked him and sang him to death. And they came back to the car. She was just frozen. I'm like, damn. She tells that story, and I'm like, damn. If there was social media, would you even be conscious enough?
They couldn't take it because the nature of social media.
Somebody
media is
gets
a
that shit
beast.
on film?
It has no intellect. Social media has no intellect. Neither does the news anymore. So you can't even emotionally. You couldn't give something that deep to the masses.
Right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, and if you give it to, here's the thing, because it's everybody's response. I mean, it's there. Okay, fine. I'm not going to be mad, but it's your responsibility to deal with it because all that information, all that out of touchness with reality, for every second your mind records so much information that for every minute you're on Instagram, my brain be hurting. My brain be hurting. And I'm not saying down with it. I'm saying we have to be conscious of ourselves, our surroundings, and how we actually live our lives because we're doing things, we're making purchases, we're making votes, we're making friends, we're doing all these things based on what the fuck we think we supposed to do, based on who's telling us to do it, which did not exist. Okay, so you had the TV. If people like us, if we teleported back to the day where there was just TV, it would be like, it would be, damn, somebody's knocking on the door. Hello? Hey.
Bring your food?
If you come on, bring it, or we'll come out there. Everybody, if you're watching this,
No.
our wives are
No.
bringing us food.
Like pause it or something.
Wow.
No, we can't. Wow.
Our wives are bringing us food. That sounds
Oh
so
my
regal.
god,
That sounds so regal.
my love, which one is mine?
Oh, there's 3 plates. Oh lord.
Man, this is wonderful.
Let them duke it out. Which one they want?
Yeah, let's fight.
What?
Yeah,
Place them.
just put them there.
Wait, guys.
We'll figure it
Just
out.
place them.
I tried to give you less rice because I thought you were on a diet.
No, but
Hey,
yeah.
come on, you don't know which one is his, but you know his has less rice.
No, I think that might be Kevin's because
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, this one has less rice.
Yeah.
I
I'll
think
eat that.
that one has less rice. I mean,
Thank you.
'cause I thought
Which
you
one
were-
has the fattest chicken? Come on, babe.
What are you talking about?
Thank you, babe. Wow, we might have to pause there.
Over here counting pennies in Fort Knox, talking about rice.
Yeah, but what? Dope. Hey, this is amazing. One, just value the person you
I'm
love.
so offended. I thought you guys knew that I was vegan. This is so offensive.
It's not
You're
me,
vegan?
bro. It's
Your
just-
microaggressions have gone too far.
Bro.
I am not eating in this house anymore.
Oh my
I am
god.
done with this.
Hold on, where the fuck is my gap? Cause real talk, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the distinction
Oh,
we
because
got.
I'm black, I have to eat chicken?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Most people don't know this, but black people have extra thick lips so we can grab more of the chicken as we eat it.
That makes sense.
They
Yeah,
keep
sure.
the
It's that
skin,
prehensile so you keep the skin in.
slips off.
Yeah, you ever eating chicken with no skin? Oh my goodness.
That makes sense.
You cutting yourself off.
Man. That's some taste. Oh man.
There's nothing really totally sexy
One, I
about
took a
hearing
bite
me
without
eat
thanking
something.
God, but God knows my heart. He's already knows I'm saying thank you.
What are you talking about?
Mm.
You just,
Thank you, God, for this food. If you're still tuned in at this point, man, you're a trooper. Wait, don't push pause. Cause we gotta go out with a bang.
Watch this though. All liberals and conservatives eat the same.
Ooh, y'all all eat chicken in this hoe. We all eat chicken on the road. What you wanna do? We wanna eat chicken in it. We wanna eat chicken. We wanna eat chicken. We wanna eat chicken and greens in this hole.
Damela lo chicken.
Man, should we just call it a... Should we
Let's
end it?
pause, yeah.
That's
Should
the
we
hour.
put-
That's the hour.
That's an hour?
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you for tuning in to the It's Okay podcast.
It's okay.
Where
It's okay.
to be okay.
It's okay to be okay.
Hey.
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 Okay.
It's super okay. Ricky K.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Eh, eh.
Eh,
Eh.
to be okay.
3 doors down.
It's okay to be okay.
All right, Vato. See you later.